As we step into 2025, it's time to shift our focus inward, to look within ourselves and reclaim the power we've been handing over to the world. This year isn't about keeping up with others, meeting expectations that aren't your own, or chasing goals that don't feed your soul. No, this is the year to focus only on you. Your life is a story unlike anyone else's. It's filled with unique experiences, challenges, and triumphs that only you can fully understand. But too often we fall into the trap of comparison, measuring our lives against others as if there's a universal blueprint for success and happiness. Let me tell you right now, there isn't. Owning your journey means accepting that your path is yours alone and that no one else's pace or progress has anything to do with your destiny. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to let negativity seep into your heart. You scroll through social media and it seems like everyone else is moving faster, achieving more, or living a life that looks picture perfect. So what you don't see is the full story behind those images, the struggles or the sacrifices that went into those moments. What you see is a snapshot, a highlight reel, while you're living in the raw, unfiltered reality of your own life. Owning your journey requires you to step away from this cycle of comparison and recognize that your story is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. Owning your journey also means embracing your current season. Maybe you're in a season of growth where everything feels like hard work, or perhaps you're in a season of healing where things seem to move slower than you'd like. Whatever the case, this is your season and it's here for a reason. Don't rush it, don't resent it, own it. Every step you take, even the small stumbling ones, is shaping you into the person you're meant to be. It's not just about accepting your path, it's about celebrating it. Think about where you've come from, the obstacles you've overcome, and the lessons you've learned. Maybe your journey hasn't been smooth, maybe it's been filled with detours, setbacks, and heartache. But here's the thing, you're still standing. Every twist and turn in your story has brought you to this moment, and that's something to be proud of. When you own your journey, you reclaim your power. You stop letting other people's opinions, timelines, or definitions of success dictate how you feel about yourself. Owning your journey also means taking responsibility for it. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. You can choose to dwell on the negatives, or you can choose to learn from them. You can choose to let setbacks define you, or you can use them as stepping stones to something greater. The moment you take ownership of your journey is the moment you stop being a passenger in your own life. This isn't just about the big moments, it's about the day-to-day choices you make. Are you living in alignment with your values, your dreams, and your purpose? Or are you trying to fit into someone else's mold, chasing goals that don't truly resonate with you? Owning your journey means living authentically, making decisions that honor who you are and who you're becoming. It means saying yes to the things that matter and no to the things that don't. Owning your journey requires self-compassion. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to take wrong turns. That's part of being human. But don't let those moments define your worth or derail your progress. Treat yourself with the same grace and understanding you would offer a loved one. Recognize that growth is messy, that progress is rarely linear, and that setbacks are not the end of the story, they're just part of the process. Prioritize inner peace. In a world that is constantly pulling at you through notifications, demands, and distractions, inner peace can feel like a distant dream. But if you want to overcome negative feelings and thrive in 2025, your inner peace has to become your top priority. Because without peace, even the smallest challenges feel overwhelming and even the greatest successes feel hollow. Inner peace isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. And it's something you have to intentionally cultivate. Let me tell you, peace doesn't come from the outside. It's not found in your bank account, your job title, or your relationships. It's not something someone else can hand you, nor is it something you stumble upon by chance. Peace is an inside job. It's something you create by choosing what you allow into your mind, your heart, and your life. It's the foundation you build for yourself so that no matter what storms rage around you, you can stand firm. Prioritizing inner peace begins with protecting your energy. You cannot let everyone and everything have access to you. There are people, situations, and even habits that drain you, leaving you feeling empty and anxious. It's time to identify those energy leaks and start saying no to anything that disturbs your peace. This might mean stepping back from toxic relationships, limiting time on social media, or even letting go of responsibilities that don't align with your purpose. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's essential for your well-being. Another key to inner peace is mindfulness. We spend so much time caught up in the past or worrying about the future that we miss the present moment entirely. But the present is where your power lies. It's where you can breathe, reflect, and reset. Mindfulness doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to sit in silence, focus on your breathing, or express gratitude for the things you do have. When you practice being present, you create a space where negativity can't thrive. Inner peace also comes from simplifying your life. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, but being busy doesn't always mean being fulfilled. Sometimes it just means being overwhelmed. Take a step back and evaluate where you're investing your time and energy. Are you doing things that truly matter to you, or are you just trying to keep up with everyone else? Simplify your schedule, declutter your environment, and focus on what truly brings you joy and fulfillment. One of the biggest enemies of inner peace is overthinking. Have you ever noticed how your mind can turn a small problem into a massive crisis simply by replaying it over and over and over again? Overthinking magnifies negativity and keeps you stuck in a loop of doubt and fear. To break free from this cycle, you have to train your mind to let go of what you can't control. Remind yourself that not everything requires your immediate attention and not every problem is yours to solve. Release what isn't serving you and trust that things will unfold as they should. Inner peace also requires self-awareness. You have to be willing to look within yourself and confront the thoughts, patterns, and beliefs that are keeping you stuck. Are you holding on to resentment or guilt? Are you replaying old wounds that no longer have power over you? Letting go of negativity doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means acknowledging them, processing them, and then releasing them. You can't carry the weight of yesterday into tomorrow and expect to feel at peace. Finally, inner peace is about balance. It's about knowing when to rest and when to push, when to speak and when to stay, and when to stay silent, when to take action and when to be still. It's about aligning your life with your values so that everything you do feels purposeful and intentional. This balance doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily practice, a choice you make moment by moment. But when you make inner peace a priority, you give yourself the gift of clarity, resilience, and joy. Redefine success for yourself. The world is loud when it comes to defining success. It tells you that success looks like a certain number in your bank account, a specific title on your resume, or a particular image of perfection on social media. But here's the truth, those definitions of success are not universal, and they were never meant to fit everyone. In 2025, it's time to throw away the world script and redefine success for yourself. It's time to create a definition that feels authentic, fulfilling, and true to who you are. And redefining success starts with examining where your current ideas of success come from. Maybe they came from your parents who wanted you to follow a specific path. Maybe they came from society, which tells you to chase the next big thing relentlessly. Or maybe they came from comparison, from looking at others and thinking, I should have what they have, but none of these external sources truly know you, your dreams, your values, your purpose. It's up to you to decide what success means in your life. Some success might mean climbing the corporate ladder, but for others it might mean having more time to spend with loved ones. For some, it's about making a difference in their community, while for others, it's about mastering their craft or nurturing their creativity. There is no right or wrong answer here. What matters is that your definition of success reflects what truly matters to you, not what impresses others or fits into society's mold. Redefining success also means letting go of the pressure to have it all at once. We live in a world that glorifies multitasking and constant productivity, but true success isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right things. It's about prioritizing what aligns with your purpose and being okay with letting the rest go. Success doesn't have to be a race, it can be a journey, one where every step is meaningful, even if it looks different from someone else's. One of the hardest parts of redefining success is releasing the need for validation. When you choose a path that's different from the norm, people might question it. They might not understand why you're prioritizing your mental health over a promotion or why you're pursuing a passion project instead of a traditional career. But their opinions don't define your success, you do. Redefining success means trusting yourself enough to stay true to your vision, even when it's not popular or widely understood. Success should feel like fulfillment, not exhaustion. Too often we chase goals that leave us drained, stressed, and disconnected from what truly matters. We think if I just achieve this one thing, I'll finally feel happy, only to find that the finish line keeps moving further away. Redefining success means focusing on the quality of your life, not just the quantity of your accomplishments. It means asking yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I finding joy and meaning in the process? It's also important to recognize that success is not static, it evolves as you do. What felt like success 5 years ago might not resonate with you today. And that's okay, life is dynamic and so are your priorities. Redefining success means giving yourself permission to change your mind, to shift your goals, and to pursue new dreams as you grow. It's about staying flexible and open to the possibilities that come your way rather than clinging to outdated definitions that no longer serve you. Finally, redefining success requires self-compassion. When you let go of traditional metrics of success, you might feel moments of doubt or insecurity. You might wonder if you're doing enough, achieving enough, or being enough. But redefining success is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about celebrating the small wins, the quiet moments of joy, and the steps you take toward living a life that feels authentic and meaningful to you. Success at its core is about living in a way that makes you proud of who you are. Set boundaries without apology. If you want to focus on yourself and overcome negativity in 2025, you must learn the art of setting boundaries. Not timid, hesitant boundaries that you constantly second guess, but firm, unapologetic boundaries that protect your peace, energy, and well-being. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out, they're about preserving the space you need to thrive. They're about saying, this is what I need to be my best self, and I will not compromise on it. Too often we feel guilty for setting boundaries. We worry about being perceived as selfish, difficult, or unkind. But let me tell you, there is nothing selfish about protecting your mental health. There is nothing unkind about refusing to let others drain your energy or disrespect your time. Boundaries are an act of self-respect, and they teach others how to treat you. If you don't set boundaries, you're essentially telling the world that your needs don't matter, and that's a message you can't afford to send. Setting boundaries begins with understanding what drains you. Take a moment to reflect on the people, situations, and habits that leave you feeling depleted or overwhelmed. Maybe it's a friend who only calls when they need something, a coworker who constantly piles work on your plate, or a habit of saying yes to every request without considering how it will affect you. Whatever it is, recognize that these things are costing you your energy, and it's time to put a stop to it. Boundaries are not just about saying no, they're about saying yes to yourself. When you set a boundary, you're choosing to prioritize your well-being over pleasing others. No. You're choosing to invest your time and energy in things that uplift and empower you rather than in things that drain or diminish you. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. It's recognizing that you can't show up fully for others if you're constantly running on empty. But setting boundaries isn't always easy. There will be people who push back, who don't understand why you're no longer available to meet their every demand. They might accuse you of being distant, uncaring, or even rude. In these moments, it's crucial to remember that their reaction is not your responsibility. Boundaries are about protecting your peace, not managing other people's feelings. You can't control how someone responds to your boundaries, but you can control how firmly you stand by them. Boundaries also require clarity. You can't set effective boundaries if you're not clear on what you need. Take the time to identify your limits and communicate them with confidence. For example, if you need uninterrupted time to focus on your work, let your colleagues know. If you need space to recharge after a long day, let your loved ones know. Be direct, but also be kind. Boundaries are not about creating conflict, they're about fostering mutual respect. Another aspect of setting boundaries is consistency. A boundary is only effective if you enforce it. If you let others cross your boundaries without consequence, you're sending the message that they don't need to take your limits seriously. This doesn't mean you have to be harsh or confrontational, but it does mean you need to stand firm. Enforcing your boundaries shows others and yourself that you value your own needs and are willing to protect them. It's important to remember that boundaries are not static. They can evolve over time. What you needed last year might not be what you need now. And that's okay. Give yourself permission to adjust your boundaries as your life changes. Maybe you need to set stricter boundaries with your time, or maybe you need to soften a boundary as you build trust in a relationship. Whatever the case, be flexible and responsive to your own needs. Finally, setting boundaries isn't just about relationships with others, it's also about the relationship you have with yourself. Are you overcommitting to things that don't serve you? Are you allowing negative self-talk to take up space in your mind? Boundaries start within. You have to learn to say no to the thoughts and behaviors that sabotage your peace, and yes to the habits and practices that nourish your soul. Boundaries are a form of self-care. And in 2025, they are your shield against the negativity that tries to creep into your life. Heal, don't hide. Healing is not easy, it's messy, uncomfortable, and often brings up emotions you've been avoiding for years. But in 2025, if you truly want to focus on yourself and overcome negativity, you have to commit to healing rather than hiding. Hiding might feel like the safer option, but it's only a temporary escape. When you hide from your pain, you bury it deep, but buried pain doesn't disappear, it festers. It shows up in your relationships, your decisions, and your sense of self-worth. Healing, on the other hand, sets you free. Healing starts with acknowledgement. You can't heal what you refuse to face. Take a moment to look at your life honestly. What are the wounds you've been carrying? What are the stories you've been telling yourself to avoid dealing with the truth? Maybe it's the heartbreak you never allowed yourself to process, the childhood trauma you've minimized, or the failure you've been punishing yourself for. Whatever it is, bring it to the surface. Shine a light on it. You can't begin the journey of healing until you name what needs to be healed. But acknowledgement is only the first step. Healing requires courage. It takes courage to confront the pain you've been avoiding, to feel emotions you'd rather suppress, and to have conversations you've been dreading. It's tempting to stay busy, to distract yourself with work, entertainment, or other people's problems, but distractions only delay the inevitable. The only way out is through. Healing demands that you sit with your pain, understand it, and ultimately let it go. One of the hardest parts of healing is letting go of the blame. You might have been wronged by someone who never apologized, hurt by a situation you couldn't control, or betrayed by someone you trusted. It's natural to feel anger, resentment, or even hatred toward the person or situation that caused your pain. But holding on to that blame only keeps you stuck. It keeps you tethered to the very thing you want to move on from. And forgiveness doesn't mean excusing what happened or forgetting it. It means freeing yourself from the hold it has on you. Healing also means giving yourself grace. You're not going to get it right every time. You might take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You might find yourself falling into old patterns or reacting in ways you thought you'd move past. That's okay. Healing isn't linear, and it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Be patient with yourself. Recognize that the journey of healing is just as important as the destination. Part of healing is learning to rewrite the narrative. The pain you've experienced might have shaped you, but it doesn't define you. You have the power to tell a new story about who you are and what your life is about. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances, see yourself as a survivor, as someone who has overcome challenges and emerged stronger. Instead of focusing on what you've lost, focus on what you've gained, the wisdom, the resilience, and the clarity to move forward. Healing also requires vulnerability. You can't do it alone. Whether it's talking to a trusted friend, seeking therapy, or joining a support group, you need a safe space where you can share your experiences and be met with understanding and compassion. Vulnerability doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. It's through connection that we find the strength to heal. Don't be afraid to lean on others and to let them lean on you in return. And let's not forget the role of self-care in healing. Self-care isn't just about pampering yourself. It's about taking actions that nurture your mind, body, and spirit. It's about getting enough sleep, eating nourishing food, moving your body, and engaging in activities that bring you joy. It's about creating rituals that ground you, whether that's journaling, meditating, or spending time in nature. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when you're in the process of healing. Finally, healing means embracing the possibility of joy. When you've been in pain for a long time, joy can feel foreign or even undeserved. But healing isn't just about removing the negative, it's about making space for the positive. It's about allowing yourself to feel happiness, to laugh freely, and to dream again. Healing doesn't erase the scars of the past, but it allows you to live fully in the present, unburdened by the weight of what came before. Take responsibility for your growth. In 2025, if you want to focus on yourself and overcome negativity, you must take full responsibility for your growth. This means understanding that your growth is not dependent on your circumstances, your past, or other people's actions. It's on you. Growth requires a shift in mindset from seeing yourself as a product of external influences to recognizing yourself as the architect of your own transformation. When you take responsibility for your growth, you stop waiting for things to change for you, and you start making the changes yourself. Taking responsibility for your growth begins with owning your choices. Every decision you make, whether big or small, has an impact on your life. Do you choose to take action toward your goals, or do you allow fear to paralyze you? Do you choose to invest in your health, or do you allow distractions and bad habits to undermine your well-being? Do you choose to confront challenges head-on, or do you avoid them out of discomfort? When you take responsibility for your growth, you acknowledge that your actions or lack of them are the catalyst for your progress. It's also about accepting the role that failure plays in growth. Too often we see failure as something to be avoided at all costs, but the truth is failure is one of the most powerful tools for growth. Every time you fail, you learn. Every mistake is an opportunity to refine your approach and build resilience. Taking responsibility for your growth means shifting your mindset about failure, not as something that defines you, but as something that defines you, but as something that teaches you. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the closer you get to success. Another key part of taking responsibility for your growth is developing self-discipline. Growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens because you consistently show up and do the work, even when it's hard or inconvenient. Self-discipline is the ability to stay focused on your goals, even when you'd rather procrastinate or take the easy way out. It's about making daily choices that align with your vision for the future, even when it requires sacrifice. When you take responsibility for your growth, you recognize that your success is determined not by your circumstances, but by your commitment to your goals. Taking responsibility for your growth also involves being honest with yourself about your weaknesses and areas for improvement. It's easy to blame others for our struggles or to point fingers at circumstances that are out of our control. But true growth begins when you stop blaming and start looking within. What patterns do you need to change? What limiting beliefs are holding you back? What fears are preventing you from stepping into your full potential? When you take responsibility for your growth, you stop playing the victim and start taking action to improve. Growth also requires you to push beyond your comfort zone. The reality is that growth doesn't happen in familiar, comfortable spaces. It happens when you step into the unknown, when you take risks, and when you challenge yourself to become more than you were yesterday. This might mean trying new things, facing your fears, or stepping into new roles that stretch your abilities. It might mean walking away from situations that no longer serve you, even if they feel comfortable in the moment. When you take responsibility for your growth, you recognize that staying comfortable means staying stuck. If you want to grow, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Self-reflection is another powerful tool for growth. Taking responsibility means regularly checking in with yourself, asking the tough questions, being honest about where you are, and identifying the areas where you can do better. Reflection allows you to track your progress, celebrate your victories, and learn from your setbacks. It's about taking a step back to gain perspective and adjust your approach if needed. So when you take responsibility for your growth, you make reflection a habit so that you can stay on course and make adjustments along the way. One of the most important aspects of taking responsibility for your growth is the ability to build and nurture the right mindset. Your mindset shapes everything: how you approach challenges, how you respond to setbacks, and how you view your own potential. If you have a growth mindset, you believe that you can learn, evolve, and improve over time. You don't see obstacles as insurmountable walls, but as stepping stones. You don't see criticism as a personal attack, but as constructive feedback. When you take responsibility for your growth, you nurture a mindset that empowers you to rise above difficulties and keep pushing forward. Finally, taking responsibility for your growth requires you to embrace the process. Growth is not a destination, it's a journey. There will be days when it feels slow, when you don't see the immediate results of your hard work. But the key is to stay committed, to trust the process, and to keep moving forward one step at a time. Growth is cumulative. Even small actions add up over time. When you take responsibility for your growth, you embrace the small steps and the daily progress, knowing that every effort you put in is taking you closer to the person you are meant to be.